Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to commend the Bipartisan Policy Center for the establishment of the Congressional Patriot Award and naming Sam Johnson and John Lewis as its first recipients. I can think of no two people who are more deserving than Sam Johnson and John Lewis, both who serve in this chamber with distinction, both who I have the honor of serving with on the Ways and Means Committee, who do an extraordinary job on behalf of the citizenry of this great nation. For all of our membership here, we can all be proud to say that we served with both Sam Johnson and John Lewis. I want to thank and commend Tom Cole, my chairman, co-chairman in this effort, on behalf of our two esteemed colleagues. By now, every member should have received, and the public will become increasingly aware, of an invitation to this event on March the 15th. The event will be held at the Library of Congress. What a fitting place for us to honor our colleagues. And the library will have on display photos and documents from the Vietnam War and photos and documents from the Civil Rights Movement. It was 50 years ago that Sam Johnson was shot down over Vietnam. It was 51 years ago that John Lewis made that historic trek from Selma to Montgomery and crossing over the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Most people don't realize today that Sam Johnson was imprisoned by the Viet Cong for 7 years. 42 of them he spent in solitary confinement, nearly beaten to death, but never said a word. What an incredible American. And John Lewis, nearly beaten to death by the Alabama police as he had the temerity to lock arms and cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge and face with undaunted courage an unwelcoming crowd who could never deter the will of a movement that he is so identified with. And so, to have the Bipartisan Policy Center recognize a conservative, a progressive, a Republican, a Democrat, people who served this nation extraordinarily with their patriotism long before they ever got here, to have a medal named in their honor and to present that once in the biennium to deserving members of this body, past and present, is a great notion. It demonstrates to the American people that at the end of the day, it's not about conservative or liberal, or it's not about Democrat or Republican. It's about the great nation that we serve. There are no more exemplary figures than Sam Johnson and John Lewis. John McCain will be presenting on behalf of Sam Johnson. No one understands what Sam Johnson endured better than Senator John McCain. Andrew Young will be speaking on behalf of John Lewis. He was alongside of John Lewis during that historic mark. No one knows better what they endured. And we're so fortunate to both have the Library of Congress, but also to have David Rubenstein, who will be there, who will interview that evening with Sam and John Lewis. It'll be a wonderful evening, made more special by what the Library of Congress will present in terms of what transpired 50 and 51 years ago, respectively, but made greater by the presence of everybody here, recognizing the great contribution of your colleagues, Sam Johnson and John Lewis. I yield back my time and look forward to having everybody on March the 15th at the Library of Congress to recognize these two great American heroes.
Gentleman yields.